here's a little bit about my life growing up and further. When I was born till 7, I was told I was the happiest child that people ever seen. Always walking around with a smile on my face, and laughing and playing, like a kid should, a normal kid should. At age 7, my parents got a divorce, which I was happy about, because then they wouldn't fight in the house anymore. I would hear them fighting and be hysterical crying and run to my room. It gave me like a PTSD throughout my life, getting older, and I can't deal with people screaming at each other. But, so I was happy for the divorce because of that. However, when I was 7 and my parents got divorced, my dad left for an entire year. I didn't see him. I have no memory of that. I was told to me, I believe, by my sister. My mom, who had us and was raising us, me and my sister, who was 18 months older than me, she slept. She got depressed. I believe he left her because of her weight. And then she got depressed and slept all the time, and I believe would wake up at night to eat, because when I got older and would sleep because of depression, I would lose like 10 pounds for just sleeping in 3 days. I thought we grew up poor, but one time telling my friends stories about, things I remember from my childhood, the house and everything, she said, poor people don't have heated floors in multiple houses. True. We did have multiple houses, but it was families' houses. My mom had one. She also had the next door house. And then my grandparents, they had a house in Puerto Rico, so every year we would take a trip to go see them in Puerto Rico, and that was nice. Even though I was going since a baby, I remember thinking that the first time I went on a plane was when I was 5, but that was just because it was my first memory of it. I remember getting up and going to the bathroom every 15 minutes. I think nervous, I don't know. Maybe I drank a lot before going up and the pressure, I have no idea. I just remember for the entire 3-hour trip, I went to the bathroom every 15 minutes. And so we were not poor, but I guess humbled. I was humbled. I don't to think that. So at the age of 7, when my parents got divorced, I basically lost my dad and my mom. And I believe around the same time I got molested by my mom's uncle. Moved in the basement apartment we had downstairs. I have no memory of it. I'm detached from it, but I kind of figured it out from deductive reasoning. I was a very sexual kid, like way too sexual, way too young to not have something shown to me. And I know we lived in a very, sheltered life. My parents and my aunts and uncles and cousins, we all hung out together. It wasn't like there was outside sources that were, showing me porn. When I finally figured out that I had multiple personalities, which I did not realize until I was 26, 27 years old. And then finding out the reason why some people become sexual very early, have multiple personalities. So I can only assume. And this man that lived in the house, well, he was fired from clergy. I can only assume what he was doing, you know, for the priesthood to fire you. So when all this happened, I guess I started gaining weight, getting bigger. I found out that's a thing too, that kids will do that so that people won't touch them or be attracted to them. And then he doesn't remember it, but one day when I was like 13, my dad just said, "You're fat, when are you gonna lose some weight?" He didn't have the best way with words, but that really struck me. That got to me, you know? Oh, fuck. I'm getting paint all over my wall. Hang on, I gotta clean this up. Where were we? Oh, so I have a very unhealthy relationship with food still to this day. I do eat. I'm not anorexic anymore. I currently feel fat. I know that sounds crazy, because you could see me. But that's how I know it's still in my mind. However, I do have a scale in my room, so I know if I'm getting too low. I won't let myself get too low anymore. Still not too high. I still like to stay right in between. Well, where I should be, where your BMI should be, honestly. But that really scarred me when I was 13. I not only stopped eating, and not 100%, I ate Laffy Taffy. Candy, if you just eat straight candy and nothing else, yeah, you're gonna lose a lot of weight. I also shot up like 3 to 5 inches. I don't know, whatever it was. I went from 5'2" to 5'11". So 8 inches, 9? Oh Jesus, I can't do math. Shot up 9 inches in 2 years. Yeah, I went from 5'2" to 5'11" after he said that. So either way, I was chunking out before I grew up, you know? And, but because of hearing that, I also stopped eating. I also, by 14, was a very heavy cocaine addict. User. I wouldn't say I was an addict then. Maybe addict mentality because of what happened already in those 7 years, from 7 to 14. So 14, I started using cocaine. And by 15, I moved out because I was fighting with my mom too much. And, you know, my sister feared her life with me living in in the house. It was time for me to go. So I wound up moving in with my uncle, who had like a huge house, but he lost his wife and kids. So I moved in with him, and then he realized that he couldn't lose the house because we couldn't both live in his van, you know? So I feel like somewhat for a while I was helping him do a little better. So he made the house into like like rooms for rent, like all these rooms for rent, right? So it's me, a 17-year-old drug addict, my uncle, older drug addict, and then a bunch of clean people that he met in like NA or AA that needed places. So they were good people, I will say that. I don't think all of them were were clean, obviously. But I was 17. I wasn't caring. I wasn't paying attention. At that point of being 17, and I'll go into depth with stories of like living at my uncle's, and this is just a summary so you guys can get to know me a little bit, an overall. At 17, I got into a fight with his new girlfriend, baby mama. She was pregnant, so she, was she pregnant then? I don't think she was. She already had the baby because I was taking care of the baby. Maybe she was pregnant a second time. I don't know. Either way, I got into a fight with her and I wound up living at my friend Kristen's house with her and her dad because her sister just got kicked out. Further down the road, my friend Kristen is more like my sister, and I'm more like Kristen's sister. Or I was more like Kristen's sister. I've grown. So that didn't last very long, though. I went to school. I always went to school. Oh, fuck, I forgot a part. So when I was 13... I used to get punished all the time, and my mom would be like, "You're punished," and I would cry and run into my room. But when I was 13, I got in trouble for something, like always. I don't know, something I did. And she said, "You're in trouble." And I said, "No, I'm not." And I walked out the door. And I did not come home for 3 or 4 days at 13. But she checked, and I went to school every day. I believe on the last day, I got off the bus and was walking to my friend's house, and I saw my mom's car, and I ran behind a tree. She's like, "I see you behind that tree." She's like, "Are you coming home?" And I said, "I need one more day. You know, I just needed cool-off time." That's when she said, "Oh, no, I've lost all control." Because I, at that point, didn't listen to anything. I had a lot of issues because of I have ODD, which is an oppositional defiant disorder. I guess it was as a joke when we were little. We would say, "Don't tell me what to do." And now, yeah, coming from a little 3-year-old, that's ha ha ha, funny and adorable. And I lived my life by it. That if you told me what to do, I would deliberately do the opposite of that just to spite you. I would, even if it was to harm myself, I would cut off my own nose to spite your face. So, stupid thinking sometimes, you know? I'm just trying to get texture on this, that's all. I know I'm all over the place with this one. But that's part of mental illness. You know, I had ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. I had OCD. My kitchen always had to be a certain way. The cans had to be on a certain shelf and facing the same way. It was funny. We'll take that one away. Edit. It's funny being around my mom. If she was in my house, she would change my cabinets because she also had OCD. But our OCDs were different. We had to put the eggs in the milk carton a certain way. So when she did her breakfast and did her eggs, she moved them how they needed to be. And then I would do my eggs, and I would have to move all the eggs around to where I had to be. It was very back and forth if we were in the same house together. I'm going through a little bit of ADHD today. I've noticed I'm all over the place, not just with my story, but everything. But even this week, so I'm bipolar, and with bipolar you have your highs of your mania, and you have your lows of depression. And I don't let them get out of control anymore. I gotta let this dry. I try to maintain it. It's maintainable. You know, everything's maintainable if you work at yourself. So I think this past week I'm going through depression, or went through depression, trying to get out of one. I want to sleep all the time. I don't, but I want to. The house is a mess. I've seen other people's houses much, much worse, but to me, my house is a mess, and there's clutter and things. I don't really see it while I'm in it. That's why I think I'm coming out of the depression now, because I'm able to record today, or even start to paint anything. I wasn't able to do any of it. I was very lethargic. And then, you know, coming out of it, I'm like, oh, look at the house, I gotta clean the house. You know, and then I started to realize today, walking back and forth, getting ready to record, that, oh, I think I'm having a lot of ADHD attacks, you know, where I'm here. It's manageable. It sucks, because sometimes I just want to be able to focus and, like, get something done, you know, get something started even. And when I sit down to do something, and 2 minutes later, I gotta get up to do something else. It's not I got to, it's in my mind. Go. I watched it the other day. I had to, I don't know, I was trying to send a file to someone or something, and I had to not let the phone black out so that it can continue. And I struggled to keep an eye and make sure it was keep going, and it only took a few minutes, but just those few minutes to focus and try to stay focused on one thing, I felt the fight in my brain of, like, look away, and I'm like, no, I can't, you know, I'm literally fighting with myself in my brain. You can't let your brain take you over, because sometimes it does not know the best for you. Every night I want to eat at 10 o'clock at night. And then I get this tiny extra bit of skin right here, and then that's where I feel like I'm fat. You know, if I just don't eat at 10 o'clock at night, but I eat all day long, I could do that, and then I can have a shredded stomach like I want to, and but sometimes I let things get the best of me. Sometimes it's not always about willpower. Sometimes I have really good willpower. But then my ADHD kicks in. I'll do something to avoid doing something else, and the second I'm done with that thing, I go and do the thing I was trying to avoid. Now, I don't do it with drugs anymore because I'm clean, but I'm trying to quit vaping, you know, so I'll exercise, and I'll exercise to get my mind off of vaping. Okay, get my blood going, you know, and the second I'm done, boom, automatically I just pick it up and do it. And I haven't bought one, because that's a thing. The last time I quit, which I quit for an entire year, and the last time I quit, I just didn't buy another one, and it was okay, because I wasn't surrounded by people who vape. Now, living where I am, I don't know, there's plenty of people that, like, someone comes over the house, or you know, old ones. My child saves the old vapes that are all burnt out. It's very, very artsy, you know, all over the wall in her room, the boxes. But then if they're not up on the wall and I see them somewhere, I'm trying all these dirty, disgusting, burnt out vapes that are, it's gross. It's gross. And while I'm doing it, I'm like, why can't I stop? I will say, nicotine or vapes seem harder to quit than heroin. You know, heroin, it was easy to quit. I just had to learn how to stay stopped. I don't even know where I am in my story. I'm all over the place today. My apologies. Because now talking about it, I want to vape. So badly. I'm going to have to kick on the AC for a bit and make the house cold before I start this again. You know what though? Looking back, it probably would have been really hard to stop heroin if I had it just in the house or people just always came. And yeah, it was. It was really hard to quit when people just always had it around or something around. So I think that's the trouble. It's because I don't not have it around me, which maybe that's why it makes it harder to quit smoking cigarettes or vaping. Because you just see people in the street doing it. You know, when you want to randomly ask someone that you don't even know if you can suck on something they've been sucking on, that's disgusting. Like your mouth has there's so many germs. I'm a bit of a germaphobe too. Not too bad, but yeah, germaphobe. And anxiety. I have anxiety. That I feel like everybody has anxiety, but to what levels? Okay. Oh, Uncle Greg's. Okay. So left Uncle Greg's, went to Kristen's. Then I went and I got a job. And I still went to school. I was still graduated high school and everything, but I was the only high school student to have their own apartment. I'm assuming the only? I don't know. I was in a big school district where there was 2,000 at the time when I was going in late 90s, early 2000s. I graduated in 2001. So at that time there was 2,000 in each graduating class. I know further down the line we had like trailers outside of our school because of classrooms having to be in trailers, and after I left the school they had built a whole other school, and because there were so many kids. So I can only imagine now how many more children are going to this district. But when I went, it was 2,000 in each graduating class, 4,000 in the school because there was 2 years in each school. We had, was it North and South? So ninth and 10th and 11th and 12th. Had my own apartments, normally studios or one bedrooms. A studio, if you don't know, is possibly a kitchen, not always, sometimes a kitchenette area, but just a big living room. So just a big room is a studio, one big room, and then that room is your living room, that room is your bedroom, that room, you know, if you have a little kitchenette or sink area, you know, and then you have the bathroom. When I got my first place, I also got my first job. My first job, everybody else was working at Burger King and McDonald's and all these places, and ew, sorry, no, I don't like to work with people's food. I don't like my food touched. But my first was CVS Pharmacy, which was, I guess, 17, 18, something like that. And I stole a lot of pills. I would just take full ones right off the shelf and just dump them all into the garbage. Multiple bottles almost every night. And then I'll take the garbage out, put all the bottles in my locker before taking the garbage to the dumpster. I may have been a klepto. I didn't ever steal from people. I hate when people stole from me and people stole from me. You know, having my own place and always having people over. People steal, and that sucks. And I don't steal from people, but I would steal from stores or corporations, rather. But I also may have been a thief, not a liar. I pride myself on telling the truth. Especially learning how much, and not you get away with, but like how much it's appreciated by the people that you're telling the truth to. There was two places I worked where I got caught stealing. One of them, CVS Pharmacy, a lot of medications. And I was like, yeah, I'm stealing. And I wrote down, like a quarter of what I actually stole, but it was enough to write down and be like, oh, I'm being, that was like a semi-honest thing. I don't know if anything came from that. My mom, I called her and she came to get me, and she was like, oh, we're gonna have to get a lawyer now. So I stole pills. What do you think I did? I sold them. They were ambulance coming to my school, and I remember being out smoking and being like, why is an ambulance there? And someone turned around and was like, because you sell your shit so fucking cheap that people are just out there taking a whole bunch. Well, control yourself, but yeah, I didn't realize I was like the main person that sold to people who sold to everybody. And so I had money. So when my mom, picked me up from my job and brought me home, I feel bad because she had quit smoking and she went and bought a pack of cigarettes that day because she thought I was going to jail for like 25 years, the amount of pills I was stealing. When she dropped me off, I went behind a picture frame that I had and I handed her $5,000. As a 17, 18-year-old with $5,000, it was just crazy. I'm good at saving money, I'll say that. I don't like to spend. I'm frugal, I'll thrift store before I regular store. And I handed her $5,000 and I never heard anything about it anymore. I didn't, I don't know if she got a lawyer. I just never had to hear about it. I don't know if we never heard anything and I just handed my mom $5,000. Good, okay? I probably owe you, that much. The second place was Kohl's department store. I worked there overnights for almost a year, which was my longest job, and I think because it was nights. It's hard to be late for work every day if you go in at 10 p.m. But I was stealing, and one of the days, instead of leaving at 6 in the morning, I was made to stay home. My fiance knew something was up because I didn't get home within the time that I normally do. And he even said, oh, she got caught. Because I would come into the house with bags of stuff. Look what I got! Oh, for you, So the man, loss prevention man, brings me in there. And starts saying, kind of beating around the bush of, are you stealing? And I was like, yes, I am stealing. I'm actually stealing something right now. Would you like it back? And he was like, sure. And I went in my pants, I wore baggy pants, I went up my pants and grabbed another pair of pants out because I would wrap clothes around my legs and then have my pants over it, you couldn't even see. And I pulled these pants out, and he was just taken back and baffled. He was like, I've never had anybody be so honest. And I said, well, I'm a thief. I'm not a liar. Like, you caught me, you know? I'm not, once I'm caught, I try not to lie my way out of things, because it just gets you into more trouble. If you're caught, you're caught. You don't know what evidence they have about being caught. Some things, I get caught, I keep quiet, you know? Yeah, I'm not condoning stealing. Like, I don't do it. That was when I first started buying makeup. Was when I was like, oh, I'm doing really good in life right now, you know, because I'm paying for my makeup, and it's more of an integrity thing. Like I have integrity. I'm not gonna go and steal and just be a thief. I don't need something that much. I don't. If I can't afford it, I don't get it. I'm not going to steal it. Same thing with people, you know. I never stole from people, but that was because people stole from me so much. I knew what it felt like. It's a horrible feeling to constantly have your shit stolen. But sometimes I think that's karma. You know, or I had a friend once, and we were hanging out on like these steps at the park, and we each had a cigarette, and then we walked to go have lunch together, and then after lunch we go back outside to have another cigarette, and mind you, it was a complete full pack. She just opened it so we can have those first two, and we didn't have it. She didn't have it. And we're like, oh my God, we must have left it on the steps. So we walk all the way back to the park and see if we could find them. And they were not there. It was in Riverside, I think, California. And they weren't there. And her instant reaction, like, was nice. She was like, I guess that person needed them more than I do. I try to put those kind of thoughts into my head, you know, that things are not personal, and to let stuff go. If you let stuff go, it's not harming you anymore. I've let a lot of stuff go, but I noticed some things I still over. I'm working at it, you know. Maybe if you're here from the beginning, like if you're watching this video, and I don't have a bunch of other videos, you're right here at the beginning, you can watch some growth happen. I hope. Because this is the point of me doing this, is to help myself grow, help myself be aware of things, acknowledge things, maybe go back in a story where I'm like, why did that happen? Or, well, maybe I did this because of this. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Me, you, doesn't matter. I am doing it. So, okay. That might be it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm having a lot of, clearly, this move, this is anxiety for me. This is what anxiety looks like for me. I still have an issue with public speaking. Again, no public, but we're doing it, you know. So I may have anxiety. I changed from sitting and talking to you guys to walking around or standing, because I noticed when I'm on the phone, I'm going around the house, I'm walking around the coffee table like 50,000 times being on the phone. And the second I stop, my words stop. My brain kind of stops, you know? So I figured if I'm standing and able to move around a bit if I need to, it might help me get my words out better, even though I'm like just standing. Like if it was the way I was gonna do it, I'd be doing it for you guys like this. This would probably make it easier for me to talk if I just go in circles like this. But yeah, it's getting a little easier each time. All right, I love you.